All right, Wiz, Agent Builder today. Oh, is it dope or nope?
Yeah, that's gonna be a nope for me, dog.
Ooh, wow, coming out swinging. I thought it was kind of dope, actually, the way that it seems like people are able to really get some low-hanging fruit when maybe they don't have the AI engineers on staff or the expertise yet. So I don't know. I think maybe it's a split decision here. You did play with Agent Builder and some of the ChatKit accessories. My take is it feels very end to end. What are you kind of taking away? What's the TLDR? What are people going to see if they stick with us for the next hour?
Listen, does it kind of do
The thing.
the thing? Answer, kind of. It's
Builds agents.
yeah, it's just extraordinarily limited. I actually don't think it builds agents.
Oh, wow.
I think it builds workflows, and that's important. And workflows may have agents in them, right? So we enter this gloriously murky space of the gradient between workflows and agents. But you don't really build the agent so much as you staple agents together. And I think it's it's missing some very, very critical features that I'm going to discuss with everybody that would kind of take it to the next level. And actually be something that is tremendously useful. Right now, I think it feels a lot like we're kind of building an agent with Llama Index in 2023, as opposed to building an agent that's suitable for 2025.
Which could create huge business value. For
I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and actually, on the release blog, it doesn't say build agents with Agent Builder. It says design workflows with Agent Builder. So key insight there was, I'm excited to dig into this today because it brings together a lot of stuff we've been talking about recently in our How to Build ChatGPT series. And I think the way that we can roll this out and we can chat through it all, get a handle on the ChatKit, AgentKit, Agent Builder, it really seems to all be coming together to try to enable more people with less of an engineering background to build some of these systems. And I think this is important for our audience because, the question is, well, what do I need to know as an engineer then still? And are all my skills still equally as important as they were in a world before this no code solution came out here? And then final piece on this, no code, it is no code, but it can be converted to code, right?
Insofar as there are things that are great about Agent Builder, that is definitely on the top of my list. Is that you can go from no code to code, really, I mean, trivially, and that is something that has benefit, especially when you're just getting started. You want to kind of like maybe sketch out the functionality and then go and do the actual work, right? So yeah.
All right, killer. Well, Wiz, let's kick this thing off. Let's get into Agent Builder today. We're going to go end to end in our discussions, and then we'll see the sick demo that you've got planned for us. Building some agents. All right, here we go. Kicking it off. Welcome, everybody, to another AI Makerspace weekly Wednesday event. We are on a mission to build the world's leading community for people who want to build, ship, and share production LLM applications, people like you. So thanks for joining us. If you have any questions along the way today, please go ahead and just smash the YouTube live chat or throw a comment on your viewing platform. With that, let's go ahead and get into it today. We've got a bit of background to cover because it wasn't just Agent Builder that was released, it turns out. It was actually quite a lot of things that were released. This set of new tools for agents, which is really part and parcel of what we come to expect from OpenAI in 2025. So if you stick with us for the rest of the session today, you will understand OpenAI Agent Builder. You will understand its limitations. You'll also understand how that kind of suite of tools that we saw roll out just last week, heading into last week on October 6th, really brings a lot of the work that OpenAI has been doing together in terms of how we can build, ship, and share those production AI and agent applications. Because it's not just Agent Builder, it's also connector registry, ChatKit, Evals, and reinforcement fine-tuning. None of these things are strictly speaking, brand new. And that's one of the most interesting things about this release. And we'll, of course, build some agents. All right. So is this no-code future of building agents the one that we all have to submit to and have to deal with? Maybe, depending on where we sit in our org, what our role is. But most of you guys as engineers out there, I wouldn't get too worried about it today. This is the kind of thing that maybe a product person or a leader could fab up real quick and then maybe hand off to you to keep building with the OpenAI Agents SDK or any other agent framework like the many that we've covered on this channel before. So let's get into AgentKit, and I'll tell you what, if you haven't read it yet, this is what you're missing. Okay, so new tools. This was October 6th for building, deploying, and optimizing agents. Let's get grandiose. Until now, building agents meant juggling fragmented tools, complex orchestration with no versioning, custom connectors, what a pain, manual eval pipelines, what year is it, prompt tuning ourselves, and weeks of front-end work before launch. So this kind of sets the stage because all of these things, if we line them up with then the features that they've rolled out here, they line up quite directly. Complex orchestration with no versioning, enter Agent Builder. Custom connectors, read MCP. Connector registry. Manual evals, read eval enhancements. Evals is not a new thing that they've released, but it's something that they're, is a sign of the times. Evals are everywhere. And part of that evals is no longer are we having to manually tune our prompts. We can automate our prompt optimization. Everybody wants that. And then ChatKit is particularly interesting to me. This is something that, in the age of vibe coding, front ends have gotten easier and easier to build. Is this something that really adds a ton of value today? This is quite an interesting discussion. Okay, so let's go through one by one. And let's just consider, though, that this is on the heels 6 months later of the Responses API that was released in March. So since releasing the Responses API in the Agents SDK, we've seen developers and enterprises build tons of end-to-end agentic workflows, deep research, customer support, and more. So, they called the release in March new tools for building agents. They're calling the release now, introducing AgentKit, new tools for building agents. So this is just a continuation of the story. Now, since March, they definitely have shared some insights into what companies are doing. And I want to bring the companies in and the high-level thing in today, not just because we don't have a lot of code to show you guys today, but because I think it's part of the story here with the low code, no code. This is from Klarna that they kind of point out. And they basically said, well, Klarna's new chatbot, 2/3 of their customer service chats are going to it now, doing the equivalent work of 700 full-time agents. This has long been seen as a very, very automatable thing and something that many companies are moving towards to fully automate. It's on par with human agents. Read, it's not that much worse. And 2 minutes compared to 11 minutes previously for each call. So that's pretty good. I mean, $40 million in profit based on their estimates. That was for 2024. So this is not new, but it's worthwhile to note that there are just these types of use cases everywhere for people that are a little bit less close to the edge. They also point out Clay Agent, to the Clay Agent or Clayagent, I guess, is trying to be able to answer questions. This is for like sales prospecting. So I know a lot of you guys are engineers, not salespeople, but one of the very, very difficult things to do in sales is to figure out exactly is everybody's like address and email and information and their current company and all that up to date before you start, cold reaching out to them and just smashing people with cold emails. This is part of the game. And this is a great question that they want to be able to ask, because I think this is indicative of the kinds of things that we want to be encouraging folks on our team that are non-engineers to think about. Find me all companies that have hired 10 engineers in the last month. That's kind of a really interesting type of question. And it's got something in common with those kinds of research questions that we've seen become so popular. When we see these highly parallelizable things, customer support calls answering the same questions, researching many, many, many different paths that then all get combined at the end, this is the kind of thing that we've seen from leading labs, model labs, agent labs, that research and parallelizability is really, really dialed in to help with. So this is from the How We Built Our Multi-Agent Research System blog from Anthropic. And we can just kind of think about this idea of using many parallel agents, or we might call these parallel sub-agents, to search for this kind of information simultaneously. And these kind of multi-agent parallelized systems, there's a lot of different use cases that we can imagine building out with this kind of breadth-first approach. Like, we're not trying to really develop novel science and get a new PhD here. We're just trying to kind of answer wide questions. So for instance, this is the example from their blog. Identify all the board members of the companies in the S&P 500. And, when you use a multi-agent system versus using a single agent system to try to do this, you get better results. So you can imagine starting to identify some of these very parallelizable, kind of low-hanging fruit use cases, and being able to whip up a quick app to test out if this thing is viable. I want to kind of just follow the thread, though, with Agent Builder from the Responses API into AgentKit, because it's going to give us a key insight into not necessarily the use cases we should be working on, but the actual technical features of the new release. So in March, the Responses API came out, and they said, this is our new API primitive for leveraging OpenAI's built-in tools to build agents. And it combined the simplicity of chat completion, system user assistant or developer user assistant, with the tool use capabilities of the Assistants API, which was released in 2024. With this single Responses API, developers will be able to solve increasingly complex tasks using multiple tools and model turns. Moreover, as models get better, Responses API will be even more better, and it'll be great for agents. And they kind of said, building on the 3 tools that we had from the Assistants API, the code interpreter, basically RAG, and then function calling, they added web search and computer use. If you want to go more into this, we've recently started a series on how to build ChatGPT. You can hear more of the history and background there. But AgentKit basically builds on the Responses API, as they say, to help developers build agents more efficiently and reliably. So let's kind of, with that context in mind, run through each of these. The Agent Builder is first up. And this is the thing we want to talk about today. It provides this visual canvas for composing logic with drag and drop nodes, no code, connecting tools and configuring custom guardrails. It supports preview runs, inline eval, and full versioning. That's pretty hype. And, people are getting pretty excited about it. Blank canvas to agent in a few hours. What once took months, they said months of complex orchestration, custom code, and manual optimizations, just a couple hours. So easy. Way to go, Ramp. And Agent Builder allows us to do this in a whole new way, building a work assistant agent in less than 2 hours. So, Wiz, this is our first little discussion point here. This kind of collabo between like product and engineering, like not really possible before. This kind of low code, no code tooling, we've seen it before. We've seen at least hints of it with things like Langflow early on that then got acquired, and LangGraph Studio came out with their Agent IDE a year ago. We covered it on this channel. Is this really new? This kind of agent builderiness, and are we really in a place where it used to take months and now it takes hours?
No, I mean, I don't believe that we are. I think tools like this have actually existed for a long time. You know, that's it. I mean,
What
tools
about
like this have
we
existed
got
for
a
a long
question
time.
flow wise? What about flow
Yeah,
wise?
Langflow. I mean, LangChain came out with a blog after Agent Builder came out, and I think they laid it out very well, right? Why they haven't made this approach and how their community is already supporting this kind of approach. This is just not. It's just not as novel. I mean, certainly it works very well with the OpenAI agent SDK,
Yeah,
as you'd expect. And I mean, the story of its development is neat, right? 6
it's
weeks,
pretty neat. Yeah.
all codecs. I love all that stuff, but it's just not like this. This kind of thing was possible before,
Yeah.
and it remains possible, and that's dope.
I mean, it's one of the things we typically talk about when we teach LangGraph in the course is we're encouraging people to be able to draw the thing on a whiteboard in, let's say, a workflow-like way. And then you can really actually just build it just like that with your engineering team. It's not an event-driven approach. It's more of this flowchart style approach when you deal with a tool that's using a graph-based algorithm.
That's
And
right.
so this kind of visualizes it for us a priori here. It kind of gets out in front of the viz, which is great. But certainly it does seem like it's probably for, it's probably not that new that we can do this. So what is it that LangGraph said exactly about why they didn't build this?
I mean, basically, just it's not something that they think is tremendously useful. It's not a it's not for their audience. It's not for their
Yes.
it's just not for their core people, right? And I think that's absolutely fine. And in fact, I think that if you want to enable people to build amazing, awesome agents, this is a great way to start doing that. But it runs up against some really, 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 really small, barriers, and kind of just falls flat on its face. So it's not meant to power, the next age of AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, and I like that distinction because when we're talking about these orchestration frameworks and that's their bag, they're not trying to be sort of the everything store like OpenAI for everyone. It really is important to dial in who is your user. And if your user is engineers and engineering teams out there building production engineering systems, you know, it's like you can't really also cater to all the product managers out there who want to be able to quickly vibe up a low code, no code solution. And we run into the same issue. You can't serve everybody at once. And I think it's a real reminder from the entire industry that like neither side is going away in this next chapter of ours of low code, no code. It's always been there, right?
Yes. And I think one of the things that I'd really want to make sure people are thinking about, this is kind of my favorite line from his whole blog, Harrison's blog, right? Which is, visual builders are not low barrier to entry. Despite being built for mass audience, it is still not easy for the average non-technical user to use them. And I think that's really important. And we're going to talk about this in the demo.
That's right.
All of the little needly things you have to think about and care about and understand about the underlying process in order to actually build things that work, right? And I think this is the this is the crux of the idea, where it looks visually pleasing and simple.
So easy.
But when you when you try to use it, if you don't know what's happening, you're far up a creek. You know,
That's
it's not great. So
yeah. And I'm reminded of well, we will get to this later because this idea of automating prompt tuning and automating eval and automating the UI and automating all of this. It's like, well, yeah, if it works perfect on the first shot, then great. But really, that's something we are highly discouraging from builders that we teach all the time. Is like, you need to make sure you understand your problem space and you understand that you're working with the user and you're going manual before you go magical. I mean, duh, it's like automation 101. And I think over automating is sometimes, we talked about this recently, Wiz, where sometimes people can automate things that even shouldn't be done in the first place. And so you actually end up with this like truly AI slop kind of like all over your stuff, because it doesn't constitute things that you should have done to get that thing into production in the first place, even though it makes you feel like there's a lot of productivity around it. So, okay, really good stuff. And then I guess the other thing that I just, popped into my head is like, I remember Twilio when I was working as a product manager. And I remember like they would draw lines on the diagrams and the sort of UI became so ridiculously like kludgy and like just such a mess that eventually you have to burn it all down. And I think this is also the danger when you start building these things in a sort of low code, no code way. We talked about it recently. It was either an event or in class where it's like the levels of sort of loops and workflow that you need at this stage with these tools and these tech. Sometimes those levels of workflow need to be dissolved when the new tech comes out. And this is sort of the quote unquote bitter lesson of software development in general. So I think, go back to software engineering 101. I wouldn't worry too much about any of this stuff. And, I think everybody just stay on the path. Okay, here we go. Let's keep rolling, Liz. All right. So that's Agent Builder. There's also a couple other things we want to tell you about. One is Connector Registry. To understand Connector Registry, we just kind of have to zoom in on the ChatGPT interface a little bit. We can see that we can add photos. We can connect our apps to photos and files like PDFs. We can also connect to our Google Drive. We can connect to any MCP server that we'd like. We can connect users to the information that we know they need through our application. Of course, this was the whole idea of Model Context Protocol in the first place, a new standard for connecting AI assistants to the systems where data lives. Connecting is the key word here. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of understand that the Model Context Protocol is all about connecting. It's about connecting AI applications over here to external systems and basically having this kind of go both ways: data sources, tools, workflows. This is the USB-C idea. And these connectors, these, basically all these MCP connectors are what is now even easier than ever to mess with in even a low-code environment. So we covered RAG and connectors in part 2 of our series recently. What we see in AgentKit is we see the Connector Registry is now launching. So enterprises can govern and maintain data in multiple workspaces. Seems like an enterprise-focused thing. And then the Connector Registry consolidates data sources into a single admin panel across ChatGPT and the API. So, you can imagine this is quite useful for enterprises that kind of want to manage all their stuff in one place. Wiz, am I reading this right, that this MCP thing is basically kind of just an OpenAI hosted big MCP server? That's kind of what they're offering here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's dope if you need that. But you can also host it yourself, right?
It is dope. You can do it yourself, but I mean, realistically, it is cool. It does allow us to operate in the ecosystem a little bit better. People will, I assume, eventually be able to contribute to it, yada yada. And it helps make MCP just like a button click for people, right? Which is dope. So I'm not gonna say anything other than this is good. MCP is good. The fact that they have connectors makes it really
So you can just
straightforward.
Take the arrow and just boop right into the agent.
Yes.
Boom, connected.
Yeah.
Google Drive. That feels good. I mean, I like that.
I also like it. Very cool.
I mean,
Very
that is
cool.
that seems pretty hype. Okay, so but that's all that's happening here. Okay. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. All right.
I mean, that's still dope though.
It's dope. Yeah, it is. It is. So it's kind of like a meta MCP server. Company A MCP, company B MCP.
That's right.
All the sub MCPs are now in this enterprise handled MCP.
That's right.
You can trust us, OpenAI. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, and so from connectors to now guardrails. This is the next piece, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what they say about guardrails here. Developers can also enable guardrails in Agent Builder, an open source modular safety layer that helps to protect agents against unintended or malicious behavior. They can mask or flag personally identifiable information, jailbreaks, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so guardrails can be deployed standalone or via the guardrails library. One of the things that's important to understand is under the hood, we have kind of the OpenAI Agents SDK operating. And this is, again, was released in March. This was the software development kit that would simplify our orchestration of multi-agent workflows. And at the time, they said, very core design principles here, enough features to be worth using, few enough primitives to make it easy, quick to learn, great out of the box. And, they wanted specifically few enough primitives. And there are very few. There's actually 3 of them. There's agents, there's handoffs where an agent hands it off to another agent, and then there's guardrails. To go more into the OpenAI Agents SDK, you can check out our recent event on Agentic Search and Agents SDK. To go more into guardrails, you can check out our event with the Guardrails AI team on guardrails. But the TLDR on guardrails is this, okay? It's so amenable to low code, no code, because if you consider the LLM or the agent that you want to use, you can basically come in and be like, well, I'm just going to put a guardrail on the front of this thing to check the inputs before it goes in, or I'm going to put a guardrail on the output of this thing. I'm going to put 2 guards, put this thing on rails properly. And so it's very, very intuitive how you would slap a guardrail into place on your agent low code, no code builder. And, for those of you that don't know this yet, these are just very simply other LLMs that are sort of checking. Typically, these are binary classifiers that are either classifying PI, no PI, flag it, don't flag it, let it through, don't let it through, this kind of thing. So we can do a lot of that. Finally, there's this last piece of this, well, second to last piece, called ChatKit. And this is kind of cool. Deploying chat UIs for agents can be surprisingly complex. This is something we've noticed in our How to Build ChatGPT series a little bit. Handling streaming responses, managing threads, showing thinking, and showing the thinking upon thinking tokens, designing engaging in-chat experiences generally. ChatKit makes it simple to embed chat-based agents that feel native to your product. This is kind of cool, IMO, kind of cool. Canva, which I'm using right now, big Canva fan, okay, sometimes when Canva plays nicely. We saved over 2 weeks of time building support agent. Okay, that sounds pretty sick. What does it look like? It looks like this. Little support agent built into the Canva developer docs. It looks pretty native. It looks pretty sick. I like that. A couple other examples here. One is Legal On. Legal On developed a UI for an AI agent in a day, reducing development time costs by as much as 80%. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds pretty good. 80%. Legal on. This is foreign language here, but you see a little chat. This is the little chat on the side. Okay, that's dope too. And then finally, HubSpot saved us weeks of custom front end work to get this sweet chatbot. Wiz, this is a fun one. We used to talk about when we were first getting into this game, the easiest thing to do is to go to somebody's website and show them how much their stupid chatbot kind of sucks, because everybody's website chatbot kind of still sucks. And maybe this will help that. Maybe it will. I'm excited about it. And you often talk about how, you're not a front end dev, but Claude Code is. I'd like to sort of explore this with you. Like, is this a value add as far as you can tell for, let's say, mostly back-end developers like our audience? Feels like maybe.
Why not? Yeah. I mean, why not?
I wasn't like blown away by any of those chat bots, like they were all right.
Listen, here's the thing. I hate front-end dev because I'm really bad at it. I've spent no time in my life improving at it, so I'm not surprised that I'm bad at it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And that's why I used to be a big fan of Streamlit.
That's right.
Chainlit, because it was
Banger,
like
the
easy
OG
front
Python.
end for back end people, right?
Yeah.
I'm at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So everything that helps front end be easier, I'm always a fan of.
That's right.
If I otherwise hate the product, but it's like, oh wow, front end's actually kind of tight.
I'm
a bigger fan. Okay,
that's right.
I don't think now there are people in the world who are like really good at front end, and I imagine they have a very different opinion of this, because they can see how terrible the front ends being produced by these systems are, and they can see. I common complaints I see on things like Twitter is like they're all purple and all this other stuff, and they're all using the same. I don't know. Anyway, that's not my space. That's
purple.
Yeah, exactly. But like this kind of tool is dope. It is great, but I mean, the expertise required to build actually a great front end is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as every other software endeavor. I think the really good, really good front end devs will disagree passionately that front end dev.
Sure.
But man, it helps us all get to the middle real quick, And so no, front end is not dead. If you see really good front ends built by really talented people, you can feel how good they are. If you go to a vibe coded website, you'll notice really quick. It'll be sluggish. It'll take like half a millisecond to start scrolling as opposed to 0.01 milliseconds. It's and you can really feel these things over the course of time. So
that's so interesting because we kind of see a similar thing, right? Everybody like the sort of the baseline or the starting point, or you can even say like the middle is like more quickly achieved now. And I think the same thing is true as we're seeing in backend, right? Like we see that people are able to produce kind of sloppy AI generated code for some of their homework assignments now. And that's a kind of a new thing. And it might be good enough, to like work in big enterprise bureaucracy. But is it going to be like, oh, wow, what a great front end. What a sweet back end. So clean. Like, no, those people are still going to be very much needed because, I mean, AI doesn't know what it doesn't know.
That's and that's the thing. It's like if you really want to just slide under the radar
Yeah,
with
just swap it up,
totally
dude.
unremarkable website,
Yeah.
you can 1000% do that with AI. If you want a banger that people go to it and they're like, whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling the human ingenuity, then
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah,
you need to hire a human being.
That's yeah.
You know, and that's just where we're at. I don't think that this is a
Yeah.
yeah.
Taste. I mean, it's
Oh,
something like taste, right?
we
It's
know
like maybe
taste.
that's gonna be a thing. It's like user empathy. It's like, how about a designer's taste? We need that in engineers now.
Yes, taste is the one.
Yeah.
Yes,
And presumably, like under the hood of this thing, what Codex is just slapping together a front end, like just vibing it up, you know.
just too much of it's run by Vividly vibes these
Yeah,
days,
the vibes are just crushing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so that's the chat kit. I think maybe dope, but
I do think it's dope, and it's got little widgets and stuff that you can
yeah.
build, and
0 to front end,
yeah,
okay.
why not?
I might mess with it. I might see if we can put a chat kit thing on our website. Is
It would
that
be
easy?
cool.
I do think that would be like, can we chat with Dr. Greg and the Wiz on the website?
That's right.
Anytime, right? It's like it's never really been quite easy to do that. Everybody promises it, but maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. We'll
And
see.
you know what? If it is, we'll tell you all about it.
That's right. All right, thanks, Wiz. And finally, there's evals, because of course there's evals. Let's just be clear on what evals are. This is, according to Shreya from the famous evals course, the systematic measurement of application quality. So basically, if you can look at outputs, reason clearly about what is off, and iterate effectively, you may not need much more than that to make progress. That is not saying we need to slam home a bunch of automated evals. Note, that's saying, kind of go manual before magical. Some other thought leaders in the eval space include the RAGAS guys, the RAG assessment team, YC 2024. Evaluations is about measuring how effectively your AI system achieves its intended goals. We want to quantify that performance against clear objectives. So generally, when we're doing evals, when we teach evals, we want to create that test set, want to define success very, very clearly and precisely, and we want to make sure that we're using the right metrics. This is all after we've gotten the general vibe, rough cut stuff right. Now, the bottleneck clearly most of the time is that you don't have enough evaluation samples. This is where AgentKit picks up. So AgentKit, we're now adding 4 new capabilities to make it easier than ever to build evals. One addresses exactly that bottleneck: data sets. Rapidly build agent evals from scratch and get automated graders and be able to human annotate. Trace grading. This sounds very cool. We'll see how cool it is. Run end-to-end assessments. I'm listening, of agentic workflows and automate grading to pinpoint shortcomings. Automated prompt optimization. So it's going to automatedly grade the traces. It's going to automatedly optimize the prompts, and it's going to automatically build the data sets. That sounds really good. Let's see what people are saying. They're saying valuation platform, big dope. 50% development time cut. Yay. Evals, 40% evaluation timeline reduction. Also dope. Now, I want to go back to our comment earlier, which is the details really matter. So yes, there are data sets, and it kind of looks like this. And if you've used, OpenAI Agents SDK and their eval stuff behind the scene, or if you've used LangGraph or LangSmith, or if you've used Rise Phoenix, you're kind of familiar with this kind of look and feel. We also have this prompt optimizer. If you've used any of these kind of prompt optimization, even with something like a simple Chainlit app back in the day, this kind of iterating on the prompt through the UI. And then, of course, this trace grading, where we're kind of double clicking into the trace and giving it, kind of a good or bad grade here. Of course, it's bad if it fails. Maybe it's good if it passes. I'm not sure exactly what the metrics are they're using, but I think altogether, Wiz, this feels very, very end to end. Like we're hearing a lot of, it's not just the inner agent loop, it's the outer eval loop. That's the key. It's the ops loop. That's the key. And maybe we'll see that the abstracted loops are a real thing, even in Agent Builder here shortly. Do you think they really accomplished this kind of end-to-endness? I feel like it's kind of coming together. I mean, from front to back to side to side to eval up and down, dude.
I think there is a part of it that is end to end. I think that there is certainly parts of it that are end to end. Fully end to end, I'm not going to say yes.
Okay, all right.
But like close, or certainly more of the project scope than we'd have previously. About equivalent to the other solutions that exist in the market right now, though a little bit less so on like the actual deployment side. I think in all, you can imagine this was their first version that they produced, and I don't expect them to never add any new features.
In fact, they have plans already. And let's go ahead and get to the final feature, Wiz. Just stick up here with me. Reinforcement fine-tuning. They talked about this, and they said, actually, we're introducing that you can push agent performance even further with custom tool calls and custom graders. And this is the idea that people can kind of use reinforcement fine-tuning to customize their reasoning models. So when would somebody want to do this and sort of leverage a customized, reinforced, fine-tuned reasoning model exactly? Perhaps via Agent Builder.
I mean, all of them. All of the agents could be fine-tuned, right? Specialized agents are the future.
So we're kind of back in this classic alignment space. Like, why not align?
I mean, one thing that I think we've talked about many times, and other people like to opine on, right, is we never actually left the classic patterns of yore, right? Where like we fine tune, we try to do it with prompts, then we try to do it with fine tuning. We never left that pattern. I mean, the tooling that helps us do it is getting easier, and so it's more accessible. And the cost barriers making it like more just table stakes. But the people who have been doing this at the top of their game have never stopped doing it. They'll never stop doing it, because at the end of the day, your agent should do like one of 5-6 things. And if it doesn't do those 5-6 things well,
really good,
then you're up a creek.
Get a different agent.
You need to make it really good at those 5-6 things. And like, there's lots of ways to do that, but one of the best ways that we've seen is like train model. Train model is so powerful, right? So
wow. I mean, that gives me all sorts of inclinations about 2026 and additions to the curriculum here. But okay, there's one final thing that they said, which is planning a standalone workflows API and agent deployment. Let me get some one click. Now they're competing with Vercel and the like. Let's go. They're going to take over everybody. But for today, they're just taking over the no code agent builders. Wiz, it is time for today's demo. I think you have a solid 6 or so minutes with this low code piece for us, but walk us through what we're really looking at here. Agent Builder presented by the Wiz. Over to you.
Yes, we're going to talk about Agent Builder. Perhaps unsurprising given all that we've talked about Agent Builder. The big idea here is straightforward, which is that, look at this UI. It's an agent. Let me go ahead and zoom in so that we can see the agent a little bit clearer. So this is their example, which is basically, query rewriting, triaging to different kinds of agents. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each of these components, and then we're going to talk about a few things related to them. We also have our own agent that we're going to look at. The way to get started, though, real easy. You go to Agent Builder in their docs, and you click Open Building Agent Builder. The big thing that I would encourage people to consider is that this doesn't kind of need to stop here. It certainly can, but like I wouldn't plan it to stop here. What we want to do is we want to kind of use this as like a jumping off point. Anyway, they have this. We're gonna look at this example, which is obviously much prettier and not filled with spaghetti lines. I'm joking. It is absolutely filled with spaghetti lines. This is one of the things about Agent Builder that makes it a little bit confusing. Either we have very long workflows, right? You can see how easy this is to lay out a big long line where we're having to drag and scroll the whole way. Any kind of stacking immediately makes the graph relatively unreadable. What we're going to do is walk through the workflow. So we're going to start. This is trying to emulate deep research, and we're gonna talk about why it falls a little short in a second. But the idea is we go to our research planner. Love that. From a research planner, we come up with a plan for our research. You can see in our agent that we have this come up with a plan. We're using GPT-5 with Medium. We don't need any tools. We've produced a specific output format. This output format is going to be consumed by the next node in our graph, etc. You can get real inventive here. And if we look at the other agent builders, right, you can go and look at these settings to determine what you want to do at every node. Right away, there's a lot of stuff here that you need to understand what building an agent is in order for any of it to make any sense at all, right? So this is kind of the first shortcoming, in my opinion, of this particular tool. Is this easy to write prompts? Yes. The rest of this stuff, how do you know when to choose medium versus low versus high? How do you know when you need tools or what tools? As you can see, we have lots of different tools that we can choose, right? How do you know where and when you want to use a output format? All of these are things that we know as people who build with these frameworks all the time, but people who are non-technical might have no clue what's happening. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a user approval step. The reason we have a user approval step is that we want to badly determine if our research plan is good or bad. Now, if you take a look at our example, which we will in a second, you're going to see one of the shortcomings of this particular setup. Something else you're going to notice that for me induces a kind of a rage, right? Is that I have to go from user approval to reject, right? You're thinking to yourself, well, why would we not just go back to Research Planner, right? And we could go back to Research Planner in a nice world, but in this world we can't do it, right? Because if we try to go back, let's say we get rid of this end node, and we go back to Research Planner, and we try to preview, we're going to get this. The workflow contains cycles. Break the cyclic path before previewing or publishing, which means we can't use cycles in our workflow, which is like totally unusable. You might think to yourself, well, hey, they've got a while loop. Why not just plop a while loop down? Well, in order to plop a while loop down, we have to have a condition. And in order to go back from user approval to the beginning, we'll have to actually use 2 nested while loops, right? And you might say, well, just use the while loop. It doesn't sound so bad. Here's an instruction on how to use a while loop. Okay, I'm just going to keep scrolling. This is all the stuff you need to do to build an effective while loop, okay? Is this for non-technical people? Absolutely no shot, right? No shot at all. Anyway, so we just early exit. We go to our research partitioner. Research partitioner is basically just going to break up whatever our plan was into parts. Then we have this transform object. Now, the transform object helps us take our list of items and convert it to a single string. And that's going to help us because it's going to allow us to use it as input to the searching agent, which is going to, perhaps unsurprisingly, search. From that, we're going to again extract our outputs using the transform node into a synthesizer agent, which is going to synthesize everything that we've learned so far into a final report, which will go to end. This is not me just dunking on the agent builder, though there's a little bit of dunking that needs to occur. One thing that's incredibly powerful with this is this button right here that says code. If we click it, number one, we could just export this to ChatKit, right? ChatKit building us that beautiful UI. Number two, we can just export it to code, right? And then add whatever we want, just like normal, right? We could just, this is using TypeScript, but we can go to our favorite Python and we can just straight up, we can build our workflow the way that we want. We can add cycles. No one needs to know. There's an easy button to clone the app. All this to say that there are parts of this experience that are genuinely pleasant, genuinely useful. I want to go through a few of the other nodes that we have access to. Obviously, you can see the note node, the end node, our agent nodes. And then, of course, we have things like file search for things akin to RAG, guardrails, classic guardrails, MCP. I'll just plop the MCP node down. We look at all of the awesome things that they have. We have our OpenAI and other developer MCP servers. We can also add our own MCP servers, right? So this is a useful kind of kind of thing. It's absolutely if you know what you want to build and how to build it already, this can help you do it in a more visual way. The main hang up for someone like me who's used to building these things is that it would be faster to do this in code. And I think the main hang up for people who are non-technical is that there's so many widgets and options that you have to know, how to use them already. And if you know how to use them already, again, we could just do it in code. If else is pretty straightforward. We saw an example here where we have this if. We have the ability to check, our previous inputs and base conditions off of them. One thing that I do really love that we can check in the if node here is this common expression language, right? Common expression language is a popular way to do these conditional matchings. This is very cool. This whole thing using CEL is good and dope. So very, very happy about that. Finally, we can use the thing. So I've already gone ahead and pre-run it, but we'll run it again just to see how it works. How is AI impacting cancer research? We start with our research planner. We get some research locked in. We are asked for user approval. I approved it. The research partitioner partitions the research. The searching agent searches based on that partition. And then we synthesize a final response. And we get what you would expect, which is a big old report. And then we get the old dumperino afterwards. I love this. This is great. New chat. What is deep research in AI? Of course, it wouldn't be a visual tool without having the expected visual flow here. So we can see we moved from start to research planner. We're going to move next to user approval, et cetera, et cetera. This is expected, right? If it didn't do this, we would be very sad. I still like this. When we did Lang graph serve originally, this was great. This is still great. You can see where it's failing and why it's failing. Never going to be sad about that. Excellent job by the team. Evaluate is another interesting way to start. We can create graders easily. Just click the grade button. All of this tooling exists around what can become an excellent ecosystem for building things, even if it's not there yet. We also have this idea of global state, so we can set different states. This is really important if we want to have some more advanced functionality. You can see here that I get to approve. I'm going to go ahead and approve now, and we go to our research partitioner. We'll go to transform searching agent. Hopefully you get the idea. Agent builder. Is it like the most useful thing ever created? at this moment in time? I would say most definitely not. Does it serve as, again, they built this in 6 weeks with AI, right? I'm certain that it will become more and more effective as a tool. It will become cooler and cooler as time goes on. Does this mean you shouldn't spend any time learning it? No. Maybe this is right at your vibe where you've become more technical and you understand this stuff, but you're not really willing to commit to the code yet. And so for that audience, I think it could be pretty cool. Otherwise, we already have tools that do this, and those are great too. There you go. I'm going to pass you guys back to Dr. Greg. Before I do, I'm of course going to ask you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell notification. We're live every Wednesday as well. You join our Discord. Come chat with us, and we'll be happy to see you there and keep the convo going. There you go. Back to Dr. Greg.
Wiz, so it's almost like they need a designer with taste to come in and just like create the sick onboarding flow that teaches people all the fundamental concepts in code that we're out here trying to teach people. I mean, I love that point that you have to know what everything does.
Yeah.
Because it's not a learning tool, it's a building tool.
That's right. One last very minor thing on designer with taste. Right now, if you highlight a node and you press delete, it doesn't delete the node.
Okay. All right. Feedback for the OpenAI team here. Okay. I do like the way it like highlights the one and goes.
Oh, that's great.
So good.
That's always a banger. Yeah.
Table stakes.
And if we had a branching flow, something that we can see very minorly here, but if we have a branching flow, it actually only highlights the nodes that we have traversed. So you'll see the end is not green; it's been grayed out. So we never reached that node. So if we had a more complex traversing flow, we would see the path that it took afterwards, which is again very cool.
The path is always the best. Yeah. Okay, so you would say then, if somebody is pretty good with the concepts, but feels like they couldn't do it faster in code, this might be for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. Look at that. Okay.
There you go.
And or if you're like Pablo, back end forever, way to go, Pablo. Probably not for you. All right, let's in conclusion today, and if you guys have questions, feel free to stick up here. We've got a couple minutes for questions. Just throw them into the chat. Agent Builder, Connector Registry, Evals, ChatKit, RFT. All this is a lot, very end to end. Let's go. And the core concepts in code do not change. Perhaps we can use this for very low-hanging fruit, especially if we're more on the product side, wanting to learn this stuff. Agent building is dead. Long live agent building in conclusion here. So questions, I don't see any, Wiz, but are you going to be using this on a weekly basis?
Nope. Okay. No, not in its current form. If they make it really cool and great, then that will change. Absolutely. That's right. In its current form, though, it doesn't serve a need. I do think that, if you were already using something like Langflow and we're used to it, then this also doesn't serve a need. If you're already using something like N8N, then this additionally is just kind of like a less featured version of those tools. But they just released it. So, I mean, give time. A lot of people said the same thing about ChatGPT when it came out. A lot of people said the same thing about a lot of different tools.
Chain when it came out.
That's right. Let them cook.
Yeah.
Let them cook. Let
them cook.
I'm certain with the talent on their teams that they'll be able to produce a version of this.
They are cooking these days.
Yeah.
They are cooking, dude. Okay. All right. Your insights are appreciated as always, Wiz. We'll see you back next week. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining another AI Makerspace weekly Wednesday event. Again, we are on a mission to create the world's leading community for people like you who want to build, ship, and share production LLM applications. If you have not yet joined our Discord community, please jump in, say hi to the cool, competent couple thousand people that are building, shipping, and sharing every day. We look forward to seeing you back next week to talk about deep agents. This is a release from LangGraph, and I'm getting a little weird thing here, but there is a really sweet screenshot if you go to the link in the chat. Also, if you're more on the beginner side and you're looking for a way to sort of start to break into AI engineering, you might consider either signing up for our new AI engineer on-ramp with myself and ChatGPT. If you want to get a flavor for what that's like, we actually have an event in just an hour here today, a Maven Lightning lesson on building an end-to-end LLM application. This is significantly more for beginners and more on the product manager side, perhaps, than for our classic audience. We know we had a mixed bag today with a number of new folks coming in from recent events. But if you are looking to get after it in 2026, definitely think about cohort 9 of the AI Engineering Bootcamp. We're going to consider, I'll let you guys know officially in a few weeks here, but things like multimodal, things like voice, things like, maybe reinforced fine tuning should make it into the curriculum in 2026. Stay tuned. We'll keep you posted. And anybody that signs up for the bootcamp in 2026 gets free access to the on-ramp in 2025. That is it for today, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure serving you again. Until next time, keep building, shipping, and sharing, and we'll do the same. See you next week, everyone.
But Greg, how do they get started building, shipping, and sharing?
Getting started is the hardest part, like it was for you and for me. You can get started with the AI Engineer Challenge, and you can share it in the Build, Ship, Share channel on Discord. Links in the description. What if they want to accelerate their ability?
Well, we actually have a 10-week intensive bootcamp where you learn to build, ship, and share production-ready LLM applications every single week.
The AI Engineering Bootcamp, cohort starting soon. We'll have you building, shipping, and sharing
like a legend
in no time. We'll see you in class.